Hello friend, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today in this video I will show you how to install and configure NFS server on Centos 7. Here I am using two systems. One is act as a server, NFS server, and the other one will act as a NFS client. So NFS, we also call network file system, is a file-based storage through which we can access files and directories over network. NFS is used to share files and folders between Linux systems. It's enable you to mount remote NFS share locally on the client machine. Why to use NFS? Number one, we can use the NFS share as a centralized storage system. We can use this share NFS as a storage data store for VMware, and we can use NFS for files and folder sharing between Linux systems. We can also mount NFS share locally on client machines, and it's also having advantage where directories and files are needed by user frequently over network, and it's also allow you to write on the same file based storage from multiple clients. So let's start by configuring the NFS server on our this machine. This machine is having the minimal install, means to say that I have installed CentOS 7 with minimal packages. So first let me install the required packages, basic required packages. So these are the basic required packages. Press enter to install it. I already put entries of both the machines in etc host file because I am not using here any DNS server. So I manually put entries of each server and client in etc host file. Even I have made an entry in host name as well. I'm using here example.com as a domain name. So this is my fully qualified domain name, server.example.com for NFS server and client.example.com for our NFS client. So let's start. Now next thing is we need to install the required packages for NFS server. The next thing is we need to start the NFS service. And RPC bind service. Also enable it so that whenever we boot the system, it automatically start these services. Let's check the status of our services. As you can see, both services are in running state. I have disabled the SC Linux and I'm going to disable the firewall as well. Okay, now let's open one file, id map.conf file, and we put our domain name here. And here enter the domain name as example. Save the file. All right, now next thing is, let's create a new directory that will be used as NFS share. Before creating the directory, let's attach one disk on this server. On that disk we will mount that directory and will use that particular disk as a NFS share. So I'm going to mount one disk, 100 GB disk, to this server. As you can see, I have attached 100 GB disk to this server. So let's create a partition on this disk, and then we'll use this disk as a NFS share. I'm creating one directory, new NFS, and I'm going to mount this partition SDB1 on new NFS. This is a temporary mount. To make it permanent, we need to make an entry in fstf file. I'll use the UID. So in this way, you can put the entry in fstf file. After this, whenever you boot the system, this mount point is permanent. As you can see, now it mount from the etc fstf file. Okay, now the next thing is, let's change the permission of this NFS share. I'm giving here 755, and let's change the ownership as well. As you can see, I've changed the permission and I changed the ownership of this NFS share. All right. Next thing is for NFS, we are having two important configuration file. One is the etc export file. In this directory, we'll need to put the share name here. You can say it's a main configuration file through which file systems are exported over the network. And the other one is the etc fs file, which is used to mount the NFS directories permanently. So let's open the etc export file. And here I'm going to put the entry like this. Here, this NFS, new NFS is our share directory, and this is the IP of the client machine. We can also use the host name instead of an IP address if you are having a DNS server. And it's also possible to define the range of client by just simply using the subnet, and RW is the writable permission to the share folder, and this no root squash is, suppose if no root squash is mentioned here, it means that root on the client machine will have the same level of access as the root on the server. And if you want any other client to access it, then you can add the IP address, or otherwise if you put star instead of IP address, in that case all client can access this NFS share over the network. So let's save this file and then export the share directory by using export fs r. And if you want to check the shared file, you can use export fs -v. So you can see it's showing us the NFS share. There is one more command to check the local share, show mount -e. This will export the list of share NFS share on this server. So in this way you can check the local NFS share by using the show mount -e command. Now the next thing is, if you are having a firewall configured on this server, you need to allow NFS service on firewall. And the final thing is we need to restart the NFS server service and the RPC bind. Let's check the status. Our both services are up and running. So our NFS server part is ready now. Let's move on to our NFS client machine. This is my NFS client machine. So this client machine is also having the minimal packages installed. So let's install some basic packages. Now install the required NFS packages to access the NFS Share. Alright, now let's start the service. Our service is up and running now. Now let's check. Before checking the NFS Share, let's make an entry of domain name in idmap.conf file. Alright, let's restart the RPC bind service. And now let's check the NFS Share on the server side. For this you need to run command show mount -e, then the server IP address. Now it's showing that this client machine is able to access or view the NFS Share on NFS server. So now the next thing is let's create a mount point for NFS Share. So for this, let's create one directory on client machine, NFS Share, and the next thing is let's mount the NFS Share on this directory. Mount server IP, new NFS is the share name, and mount it on this directory NFS Share. As you can see, our NFS Share is successfully mounted on the client machine. You can check it with another command, mount grep NFS, and you can see that NFS is successfully mounted on this machine. But this is a temporary mount on the client machine. To make it permanent, or you can say to do the auto mount of NFS Share on the client machine, we need to make an entry in fstf file. So let's make an entry in fstf file, and here let's make an entry of NFS Share like this. Save it. Now this, by putting this entry in fstf, the share is automatically mounted on the client machine, even if we reboot this client machine as well. Let me show you. As you can see, this is this share is mounted. NFS share is mounted. Let's unmount this share. Our mount is not showing here. Sorry, the NFS mount is not showing here. So let's remount it by using a command mount -a. What it will do, it will read the entry from FS tab file and mount the NFS share back on this client machine. As you can see, our NFS share is mounted again on this client machine. So in this way you can configure the NFS server as well as the NFS client machine. So let's create some files and directory on this NFS share. Files are created successfully. You can create directory as well. So as you can see that the client machine is able to write on the NFS share. So that's the way of creating the NFS server and configuring the NFS client machine. So that's all in this video. If you like this video, then please like and subscribe my channel. Thanks and have a good day.